Hello everyone. Today I'm here with the poem After Blenheim by Robert Southey. This poem basically describes the ills of war, the communication gap between two generations. One is humanistic and the other lacks some amount of knowledge due to what he has been told to learn and understand about the circumstances around him. Now let's start. The first stanza. It was a summer evening. Old Caspar's work was done, and he before his cottage door was sitting in the sun. So the setting is in a summer evening. Old Caspar had finished his work and he was sitting relaxed before his cottage door in the sun. Right? So he is sitting relaxed in the sun before his cottage door on a summer evening. And by him on the green spotted his little grandchild Wilhelmine. So just near him, in the porch or in the lawn, his little granddaughter Wilhelmine was also seated. She saw her brother Peterkin roll something large and round, which he besides the rivulet in playing there had found. Now suddenly Wilhelmine sees her brother Peterkin roll something large and round. It is some mysterious object which he had found beside the rivulet while playing there. He came to ask what he had found that was so large and smooth and round. So Peterkin's description for that mysterious object was something large, smooth and round. Right, and he had come to ask his grandfather what exactly the object was. Old Caspar took it from the boy, who stood expectant by. Now old Caspar took that object from the boy, who was curious to know what that object was. And then the old man shook his head and with a natural sigh. So after that, the old man, being in a very normal temperament, in a very normal mood and with a very natural sigh, means he wasn't much affected by what he had seen, he said that this is some poor fellow's skull. So obviously, naturally, if a person sees a skull, a person feels excited, stunned, dazed or something like that. But here Caspar did not have any emotions. This shows that that object was quite common to Caspar, who fell in the great victory. So now this basically shows that this is the skull of some poor man who lost his life in the victory, in some victory he or she had attained. I find them in the garden, for there are many hereabout. Now Caspar says, it's normal to me. Now he's describing why is it normal to him. Because he finds many of them in the garden and there are many of them all around here. This shows that the place had been a center of war some time earlier. And often when I go to plough, the plowshare turns them out. And he says that often when I go to plough the field, I find them there also. For many thousand men, said he, were slain in the great victory. Now he says, I find many of the skulls over here because there were many people who were slaughtered, who lost their lives in the great victory, and these skulls belong to those people who lost their lives while fighting for their nation. Obviously, the great victory, this word shows that the nation Caspar was supporting had won, and the repercussions and the ills of that war are simple. As we can find the skulls, many people lost their lives. Now tell us what was all about. Young Peterkin cries, and little Wilhelmine looks up with wonder-waiting eyes. For Peterkin and Wilhelmine, who did not know even what that object was, it was really something attractive, appealing, and they were full of curiosity that what had caused such a barbaric act, that people had lost their lives and their skulls were scattered all around the place. So Wilhelmine and Peterkin both were wondering and were curious to know what exactly had happened. Now tell us all about the war and what they fought each other for. This is where the communication gap is highlighted. You can see, you can feel that Wilhelmine and Peterkin are not very keen and are not very supportive about the war, because what they only see is gory bloodbath, which they dislike, right? Unlike Casper, who only knows that it was a great victory and who were the opponents and they won and all that. So that is all what Casper had crammed, but basically Peterkin and Wilhelmine are tending to judge the scenario by their own emotions. It was the English, Caspar cried, who put the French to rout. Now, Caspar said that it was the English and the French who fought with each other basically, and the English were the one who attained victory, who triumphed. But what they fought each other for, I could not well make out. Now Caspar said that I do not know exactly what they fought each other for, right? Only what I know is that it was a famous victory. So this is where his knowledge is limited, and he does not have any curiosity to know about more, because what he is taught, what sort of upbringing he has, is that only victory matters. My father lived at Blenheim then, yon little stream hard by. They burnt his dwelling to the ground and he was forced to fly. Now he says that my father lived at Blenheim then. Now he says that even my father used to live at Blenheim when this war had taken place, by the little stream you see, right? So the opponents or the people burnt his dwelling, burnt his home, and thus he was forced to fly along with his family, his children, his wife, right? Where he walked like a vagabond, like nomads. These people walked because they had nowhere else to go except for their home, which had been burnt. With fire and sword the country round was wasted far and wide, and many a childing mother then and newborn baby died. So this is the stanza where the ills, the repercussions of the war are mentioned. Now he says that with fire and sword, so there was fire and there were swords all around, and all these fires and swords were wasted all around the company. And again, due to the ill effect of the war, many mothers, many pregnant women, and even newborn babies died. So this was really brutal, barbaric, and heartwarming, even spine chilling, right? But things like that, must be at every famous victory. So thus he remains unaffected, and what gain matters to him the most is the great victory. So he accepts all this as fate, because for the victory all these things have to take place, happen, right? Now the next paragraph. Sorry, there's a bit of I've written something, please ignore that. They say it was a shocking sight after the field was won. Now again, the repercussions of the war. So they say that it was a really shocking sight after the field was won, though they had triumphed, but certainly they had lost good amount of lives, and in the eyes of humanity, this was not a great victory in eyes of humanity, but actually they had lost as humans, right? As people with moral, that moral humanity and all that. So now they say that it was a really shocking and a really very bad sight to see after the field was won, even after winning, right? Even after winning, there were many thousand bodies which lay rotting in the sun. This shows that there was lot of bloodbath, bloodshed, right? Many people had died because of the war, and they lay in the sun with their heads away, and that scene, that scenario, the thing to see was really heartwarming, spine chilling, and means not too good. If you just emphasize on the victory, you must understand that many people have lost their lives because of that. Many people have lost their dear ones, right? Maybe the thousand bodies which were laying by, right, their relatives, they must have been greatly hurt. To those people, victory does not matter much. The lives of their dear ones matter, right? So, but things like that, must be after great victory. Now he says, but that's all acceptable. If you want victory, there is bloodshed. Great praise the Duke of Marlborough won, and our good Prince Eugene. Now he says that we greatly praise, applaud, admire the Prince of Eugene and the Duke of Marlborough, because it was due to them that we had won, right? Why it was a very wicked thing, said little Wilhelmine. So, this is where the generation gap is shown. Wilhelmine is the grandchild who sees everything from the eyes of humanity, and she quotes it as a barbaric, wicked act. Whereas Caspar says, nay, nay, my little girl, quoth he, it was a famous victory. Now he says, there's nothing wicked. You just have to emphasize on the fact that it was a great victory. So here, this is where you experience the communication gap. And everybody praised the Duke, who this great fight did win. Now he says that everybody praised the Duke who won this fight, but what good came of it at last? Quote again, you have the communication gap, where Peterkin says that what good did it end up in the end? Many people lost their lives. Is that what you call good? So these were the feelings flinging up in Peterkin's mind. But to this, his grandfather lamely answered, why, that I cannot tell, said he, but it was a great victory. I cannot tell what good came out or what happened. I just know one thing, and it is that it was a great victory. So now we are done. If you have any doubts, please post them in the comment section. Like if you like it, and dislike if you don't. And please subscribe if you would like to view other videos regarding these ICSE poems. Thank you and have a nice day.